Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Oracle Wisdom. My name is Natalie Sadie, and for those of you that are joining me for the very first time, I am going to have a look at what the Oracle cards have to tell us about the energies for the week ahead. We are at the 10th of November. We're not quite halfway through, but if you haven't already had a look or gone and watched the November Oracle Wisdom video, you should go and check that out. Those readings were amazing. I will have the link below this video if you're having trouble finding it. Okay, so we are going to start off with the Ascending Life Oracle. I haven't used this one in, I think, over a month, and I woke up this morning and knew that this was where we needed to begin. So let's pull a few and see where we're at. Okay. I'm just going to pull two more before we start to have a look. Okay, so we're starting off with serendipity, divine intervention, perfect timing, happy surprises, a fortunate stroke of luck. Then we have round and round, not applying lessons learned, unhealthy patterns on repeat, unable to let go of the past, repeating an old pattern or an old story. Then we have teamwork, a partnership to complete a goal, someone will come to your aid, expanding your network, delegating tasks. We have between worlds, torn between two paths, space between the old and the new, trying to balance your two lives in transition. Trial and error, experimenting with your life, inexperienced in a job or situation, willingness to try new things, exploring all possibilities. So I think this is a week about forging a new path, and I think there are going to be moments of serendipity to confirm that you're moving in the right direction and that you are doing the right thing in taking the steps that you're taking. And I think there's going to be good surprises, and the universe is going to work very hard at signaling to you that this is exactly where you're meant to be and exactly what it is you're meant to be doing, just so that you continue on this path to end up where you're meant to go. Round and round. Look, this can be incredibly frustrating, especially if we're stuck in a pattern. And if we're not recognizing that we are stuck in a pattern, that's an incredibly difficult challenge, because if we're not recognizing that we're stuck and repeating a pattern, nothing is ever going to shift. However, if you're recognizing that you're stuck in a pattern and you're frustrated because you've done it again, you have to look at where you are now in this cycle versus where you began. So I think I've told this story before. I had dated someone who was one of the great loves of my life, but it wasn't a relationship that could be in this lifetime. It just wasn't. And I ended that relationship and it wasn't healthy for me. And then a little while later, this man comes into my life, a different man. And there was chemistry immediately. It was amazing. And then as things progressed, there was a moment where I went, oh my goodness, this is the same man, but he's wrapped up in a different packaging. And I'm doing the same thing. The universe has given me an opportunity to see whether or not I will actually move on and break this cycle, or if I'm going to keep repeating the same thing. And so I said to the guy that night, I can't do this. This isn't working for me. And it wasn't anything against him. It just wasn't a good situation for me. And that ended. And I finally broke that pattern that I had been in terms of the type of men that I was dating. So sometimes when you have that moment of sheer frustration that you're doing it again, it's what you do with that realization, which is going to determine the direction you move in next. So this card can be a really good thing because it's about breaking free of those patterns once you recognize what it is you are doing. And I feel like whatever pattern it is you're breaking, you're going to get help going through it, or maybe you need to ask for help in order to get through. And I understand how difficult it can be when you need to ask for help, and it's so incredibly frustrating, but asking for help sometimes can make all the difference. So just make sure that if you need assistance to sort of break this pattern that you're finding yourself in, that you do that for yourself. The between worlds, I think, very much is the old and the new. You are in a space where you're about to break these old habits and step into a new world, but that is the unknown. And it can be a very, I want to say, uncomfortable place, or certainly a very uncomfortable is the word that just keeps coming up, because you don't really fit where you used to be, but you don't really know where you're going yet. And that's okay. I think that feeling of being in transition is something that we need to adjust to. And it's not a place that you need to stay. It's like a layover in an airport. It's a place that you need to be for a moment in order to get to the next place. So if you're sitting in that space, just really connect with yourself and find out why you are feeling this way and what it is that's creating that. And in that, it will also tell you where you want to move to in terms of the direction with life and earth and all that sort of stuff, and what it is you want to do. So just take a moment and be okay with being in that space, even if there is discomfort for you, because it's going to serve you in the long run. And trial and error, when you're coming into this new space, it's about trying new things. And look, some of those new things will work and some of them won't. But the things that don't work, you'll have the answers. You'll never need to try it again because you already know what the answer is. And the things that work, amazing. You found something or somebody new that really works for you. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I had a couple of friends, but those couple of friends can't keep you company all the time. And I'm not someone that needs to be around people all that often, but there are moments where you need the energy of other people and just company. And, I met a lot of people who were all great in their own ways. They weren't friendships that necessarily lasted a long time, but I'm still to this day grateful for the impact that they had on my life. And I got to go out and experience new things, and that led to meeting more people or a different experience. And then that would lead to, some of these friendships that came into my life in the most wonderful way and are still part of my life today. And so trial and error, people are so worried about failure when we should be celebrating it. Those failures mean we actually went out and we tried something new and it didn't work. Okay, so now we move on and we do something else, and maybe that thing will fail too. Maybe it'll work beautifully, but we go into it with more knowledge, with more wisdom, with more of an ability to figure out a better way forward. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so let's... And right after that comes birth. New opportunities, starting over, reinventing yourself, birth of a child, idea or project. So, of course, we can take this literally, and it can be birth or I'll say conception of a child. But I think, honestly, this is more about the birth of this new version of you or this new chapter in your life, which is so freaking exciting. Okay. I think we're going to do 2 more. Okay. So we have crossroads, faced with choices, midst of indecision, facing the possibilities in life, rite of initiation. So this is exactly where you are right now. You are at this crossroads and you need to decide what direction you want to move in. What I'll say is the direction you choose, you can always change your mind. You can always come back to this point and choose another direction. Because if you have a look at this card, there's arrows pointing in all different directions. And this is part of the trial and error. You start down a path and then you get, 10 steps in and go, this isn't for me. I want to try that other direction. I went for the pink, but I want to go in the direction of the purple arrow. Go do it. My advice would be, don't be stuck. Don't let the fear of making a choice or the fear of failure keep you stuck in a place where you do nothing and you don't get to experience anything, because that's not going to serve you. And then the final card from the Ascending Life Oracle is the Phoenix, rising from the ashes, being offered a second chance, the end of despair, what was lost is being restored. And I mean, this is one of the best cards, because when we feel like we have been up against it and nothing is working, to get the Phoenix rising from the ashes couldn't be any better, because it means our time is finally here. We're finally able to pick ourselves up and move forward in a way that is going to be amazing and impactful, and embrace that. The whole rising from the ashes and the, second chance, end of despair, that is going to come when the indecision stops and you're brave enough to make that choice. And you can do it. Like I said, trial and error. If it doesn't work, the thing that you tried doesn't work, you can try something else. It's fine. And the other thing is, with the serendipity, everything that's happening is happening for a reason. If something that you try fails, it's because you needed to learn that lesson to be able to move on. And that lesson is going to come into play at a later date. So just keep that in mind. All right, so next we are using the Emergence deck. Okay, and I love how the decks all confirm the messages that are coming through. If you watched last week's weekly oracle reading, I used this deck and I didn't know who the author was. And that was an oversight on my part, but Joanna Reed. So I got this when I was in Rockport, and I am obsessed with this deck at the moment. So I want to pull the others before I show you what this card is. Okay. Okay. So we have the caterpillar possibilities. So this is, the caterpillar is always there and starts its life, and the caterpillar is just doing its thing. It's eating the leaves probably off your tree and it's driving you nuts, but it needs to nourish itself. But the possibilities of what is about to happen lay ahead for the caterpillar. And we all know that the caterpillar will make its cocoon and then it will emerge this beautiful butterfly. And it's ironic that a lot of people find caterpillars so annoying. My mum used to hate them on one of her particular vines and she used to want us to kill them. I never liked doing it. I always loved seeing them all there and knowing that there would be these beautiful butterflies that would come in time. So the caterpillar has all these possibilities laying ahead for it, as do you. You know, you have everything is possible right now for you. And so it's a matter of making those decisions, trying something and seeing if it works and if it sticks and if that's the direction that you're meant to be going in. Then we have Appalachia, journey. And that's exactly what you're going on. You are ending this cycle. You're ending these cycles of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So you have to move in a new direction. And that leads to new and exciting things, whether it be literally going on a journey and going on an adventure, and it looks like the government shutdown over here in the US is ending, so travel will hopefully become a lot easier in the next couple of weeks, or whether it's a journey in life and experiencing all these new things that maybe you never thought you actually could. There are people that I've known in my life that are stuck in a relationship, and they're stuck there because they believe that they can't get out. They think they don't have the financial resources. They don't have the ability to cope on their own. Their lives are so intertwined, and the thought of unwinding that entire life together is a difficult thing. And one day they hit a point where they go, I don't care how difficult it is. This is what I have to do. And they go off and they build this life for themselves, and they sit back and go, oh my goodness, I should have done this 5 years ago. I was so scared. So just, if the journey is scary for you, think about what it would mean to you to just stay in the position that you're already in. For me, when I was leaving Australia and I had a whole lot of people telling me I was crazy, I said to them, I have to go. And if I fail, I fail, but at least on my deathbed, I'll never question whether I did the right thing or not. And it has turned out to be the best decision for me. This place is home, and there are people that I miss back home, but I have a whole new chosen family around me over here, and I am so grateful every day for each and every one of them. But unless you go on that journey and unless you get the answers for yourself, you'll never know. And then we have mouse, details. And here's the thing with this card. I don't think it's necessarily that we have to focus on the minute details, but I think we have to be aware of them. We have to be aware of the details of why we were caught in this cycle of whatever it was that we've been repeating over and over and over again in our lives, and that cycle that we're breaking. I think those are the details we have to know. And maybe that's where we're getting hung up, because we're going, well, I don't have all the information, so I can't go. When you're here, this is about taking a leap of faith, going in a direction and believing that it's going to be okay. It's also knowing, like when I moved over here, that you can turn around and go back. And nobody ever likes to go back somewhere and say, well, I failed. That didn't work. But you know what? I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he said, what if this doesn't work? And I said, then I have an incredible, I think the time I had on my visa when I first moved over here was 2.5 years. And I said, if it doesn't work, I had a great 2.5 year adventure, and I come home with a whole lot of stories and I figure something else out. He goes, okay. So I think this is about not getting hung up on the details. It's about having an awareness around the decisions that you're making. You don't want to go into things blindly to the point that you're not looking at anything, but you just need an idea. You don't need all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Okay, so now we are going to finish up with just one of the magic of unicorns. We haven't pulled the unicorns for some time, so I thought that would be a nice way to end it. And this is the perfect way. Cosmic rainbow, look for the pot of gold, accept joy. This is the adventure that you're going on. You are looking for the pot of gold because you're done existing in this space over here under the storm clouds. This is the direction that we're heading in now. And it doesn't even matter if you find it. It's about the journey. It's about riding into the light. Because if you think about it, storms are what bring the rainbows. But whenever you see the rainbows, generally there are these patches of beautiful sunlight and blue sky, and this is how, the light reflects and creates the rainbows. But you're riding towards the sun. You're riding away from the storm clouds, and you're riding into this beautiful space, and you don't know what's out there, but what you do know is the journey is going to be amazing. You're going to be fine. And look for these serendipitous messages of the universe supporting this journey. And again, so we started this reading with a rainbow and we ended the reading with a rainbow. Everything that's happening this week is amazing and for your growth and your betterment and your movement forward into a place that you are going to be so blissfully happy. As I always say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Not every reading is for every person. Thank you to those who joined me for the live stream, and I will see all of you on that are a part of High Vibe. On High Vibe, for full disclosure, on Thursday, David and I are doing it remotely because I have family flying out of town that afternoon, that evening. So I need to be in Los Angeles. I can't be down in Orange County for that. But we will still be doing the show. So I can't wait to see you all then. And of course, I will see you next Monday for the weekly Oracle Wisdom. Have a wonderful week, everyone.